Welcome to this session of Materials Engineering. Myself, Anirban Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering of JIS College of Engineering, Kollani. Today's session, we are going to be discuss about compression and bending test of material. Learning outcome. After going through this session, we will understand the importance of compression and bending test. First of all, we will discuss about that compression test. So in this figure, it is shown a compressing testing machine. Theoretically, compression test is merely the opposite of the tension test with respect to the direction of the applied stress. The compression test can be done on the same machine on which the tension test is done, like universal testing machine or some other machine which is designed specifically for this purposes. So in this figure, it is shown a compression testing machine where the load is applied, that is a push type load, and the pressure plate, test piece, cross member, etc. are shown. In compression test, material experiences opposite forces that pushes inward upon the specimen from opposite side or is otherwise compressed, squeezed, crushed or flattened. The test sample is generally placed in between two hard metal bearing blocks that distribute the applied load across the entire surface area of two opposite faces of the test sample, and then plate are pushed together by a universal testing machine, causing the sample to flatten. A sample will get shortened in the direction of the applied forces and expands in the direction perpendicular to the forces. Certain materials subjected to a compressive force show initially a linear relationship between stress and strain. The Hooke's law states that up to elastic limit, stress proportional to strain, where E is the Young modulus. This value represents how much material will deform under applied compressive loading before plastic deformation occurs. A material ability to return to its original shape after deformation has occurred is referred to as its elasticity. As certain force, the permanent or plastic deformation will occur. This is known as the proportional limit. At this point, the linear behavior of graph stops. The force at which material begins exhibiting this behavior is called yield or yield strength. A specimen will then exhibit two or more types of behavior. Either it will continue to deform until it eventually breaks, or it will distort until flat. In either case, a maximum stress or force will be evident, providing its ultimate compressive strength value. In compression test, the properties such as elastic limit, proportional limit, yield point, yield strength, and for some material, compressive strength, modulus of elasticity, second module, tangent module are determined. Some materials do not exhibit a yield point. In such cases, an offset yield point that is called proof stress is arbitrarily defined. The value for this is commonly set as 0.2% plastic strain. From the plot, the elastic module, second module, tangent module are found out. The elastic module is the ratio of stress to corresponding strain below the proportional limit of the material. Second module is the ratio of stress to strain at any point on curve in a stress strain diagram, obtained by the slope of a line from the origin to any point on a stress strain curve. Then tangent modulus is the slope of the stress strain curve at any specified stress or strain. Below the proportional limit, the tangent module is equivalent to Young modulus. Above the proportional limit, the tangent module varies with strain. Test procedure. So first of all, we need to place the specimen. The plain lower bearing block is placed with its hardened face up on the table of the testing machine directly under the spherically seated bearing block. The bearing faces of the upper and lower bearing blocks are cleaned and the test specimen is placed on the lower bearing block. The second one, that is zero verification and block sitting prior to testing the specimen. It is verified that the load indicator is set to 0. If the indicator is not properly set to 0, it is adjusted. Number 3, rate of loading. The load is applied continuously and without shock. Number 4, standard specify that for testing machine of the screw type, the moving head shall travel at a rate of approximately 0.05 inch, that is 1 millimeter per minute, when the machine is running ideal. While for hydraulically operated machine, the load shall be applied at a rate of movement, that is platen to crosshead measurement, corresponding to a loading rate on the specimen within the range of 20 to 40 psi per second, that is 0.15 to 0.35 MPa per second. Number 5, during the application of the first half of the anticipated loading phase, a higher rate of loading is allowed. Number 6, no adjustment is made in the rate of movement of the platen at any time while a specimen is yielding rapidly immediately before failure. Number 7, load is applied until the specimen fails and maximum load carried by the specimen during the test is recorded. The type of failure and the appearance on the concrete or steel are also noted. So this is the, in a figure is shown, that is the concrete cylinder with capping where the specimen is used for the compressive testing. Now calculations. Compressive strength of the specimen is calculated by dividing the maximum load carried by the specimen during the test with the average cross-sectional area, and to determine and express the result to the nearest, that is in PSI or MPa. So in this figure, it is shown comparison of tension stress strain curve for granular cast iron and concrete. So in the granular cast iron is also a brittle material. Under tension test, it is shown that a little strength, while in tension it fails early. But gray cast iron, this product or the cast iron or gray cast iron is useful for the compressive, taking the compressive load, and in case of compression test it shows that much higher strength before failure. So similarly, in case of concrete also, under tension it fails very easily, and in compression testing it shows a large amount of absorbing strength or absorbing stress before it failures. The brittle material such as cast iron and concrete are often weak in tension because of the presence of submicroscopic cracks and faults. However, these material can prove to be quite strong in compression due to the fact that the compression test tends to increase the cross-sectional area of specimen, preventing necking to occur. In general, average compressive strength to tensile strength ratio of brittle material is around 8:1. Wood is commonly used engineering materials showing different mechanical behavior under tensile and compressive loading. However, contrary to gray cast iron or concrete, it does not show brittle characteristics under tensile loading, and surprisingly, it is considerable stronger in tension than compression. The fact is that the cell structure in the material are stronger in the longitudinally than transverse direction in the major factor leading to this unusual mechanical behavior of wood. Modes of deformation in compression testing. This figure below shows the different modules of failure in compression testing. So number one, if the length is high compared to its diameter, that is the L/D ratio is greater than 5, then pure compression may not occur. That is, the material or the test specimen is buckled and it fails under buckling. In second case, that is number B, that is when L/D ratio is greater than 2.5, the materials is fails under shearing. Number C, that is 3, when L/D ratio is greater than 2 and friction is present at the contact surfaces, double barreling occurs. Number 4, L/D ratio lesser than 2 and friction is present at the contact surfaces, again barreling is occur. Now when L/D ratio is lesser than 2 and no friction is present at the contact surfaces as shown in figure E, homogeneous compression occurs. And number 6, compressive instability due to work softening of the material of the figure F as shown. Now, in this figure, it is shows the failure pattern. Ductile material will have proportional limit in compression very close to those in tension. The initial region of their compressive strength, stress strain diagram are very similar to tension diagram. When a mild steel specimen is compressed, it begins to bulge outward on the sides and become barrel shaped. With increasing load, the specimen is flattened out, thus offering increased resistance to further shortening. Now, in this figure, a compressive strength characteristics is shown where the L by D ratio on the length of cylinder to diameter is placed in the vertically, and in horizontal axis it is shown, that is surface the percentage of strength of cylinder with L by D ratio. Now, in addition to this, we need to know that in general, brittle materials are good in compression than the tension, and therefore they are used for compressive load. Due to this compression, then the tension, and therefore they are used for compressive load. Due to this, compression test mainly used to test the brittle material such as cast iron, concrete, stones, bricks, and ceramic products. During testing, fracture occurs in brittle material, and therefore the ultimate tensile strength is determined corresponding to the fracture point. But no fracture occurs for ductile material, and hence ultimate strength is found out some arbitrary amount of deformation. It has been observed that some errors are always bound to come in the compression test due to the following practical difficulties. That is, since the top and bottom faces of the specimen are seldom perfectly parallel to each other, and there is always a tendency for bending of the specimen during testing, it is very difficult to apply true axial load. And in earlier discussion also we have seen that when L by D ratio is more than 5 of a job material, then the materials is fails under buckling load. The friction between the ends of the specimen and heads of the testing machine prevents the deformation of the specimen uniformly throughout the length. This result is more lateral expansion in the certain region that the other region gives a barrel-like shape to the specimen. So when the friction appears and the L by D ratio is more than 2 to 2.5, this barrel-like shape is occur in the specimen. Since the length of the specimen is kept short enough to avoid the buckling, it is difficult to obtain strain measurement accurately. And number 6, for a constant length to diameter ratio, length can be increased with proportionate increase in diameter. However, for testing large diameter specimen, high capacity testing machines are required. The test specimen can be square, rectangular, or circular in cross section, but circular sections is preferred for uniform application of load. The length to diameter ratio between 1.5 and 10 for different material, but the ratio 2 is commonly employed. For longer specimen, bending is which reduce the compressive strength, and for shorter specimen, frictional effect at the ends became more important, which increases the compressive strength. In the majority of the cases, compression test specimen are either square or circular in cross section, and hence the importance of variably is to length to width or length to diameter ratio. As length to diameter ratio increases, compressive strength decreases, and this is due to increase the amount of bending stresses as shown in this figure. Stress strain behavior of ductile and brittle material. For a ductile material that can withstand large amount of strain before specimen failing, engineers often ductile materials for design because these materials are capable of absorbing shock and energy. And if they become overloaded, they will usually exhibit large deformation before falling. They have small modulus of elasticity value and ultimate stress value. Steel, aluminum are the best example of ductile material. Brittle material, any material that fracture at low amount of strain. They exhibit little or no yielding before failure. Therefore, they fail suddenly and without any warning. Brittle materials often have large modulus of elasticity value and ultimate stress value. Glass and cast iron are the best example of brittle material. So in this figure, the failure comparison of ductile and brittle material are shown. In case of ductile failure, calf and cone fractures are preferred, and in ductile material we can see that calf and cone fracture occurred. In case of brittle material, that is brittle fracture occurred and there is no sign of yielding or the necking of the material, as in case of ductile material we can see. Now the next test procedure, that is about the bending stress. So the schematic diagram, the bending test are shown where a sample job is flattened and it is shown as an simply supported beam over which in a movable anvil or and a curved crosshead nose where a point load is applied at the middle. In the lower part of the job, there is anvils which are supported the job as if it is simply supported at the two ends. And there are some gauge and scales are also there to measure the strain rate, etc. Bending or bend strength is defined as a material's ability to resist deformation under load. It represents the highest stress experienced within the material as its moment of rupture. There are two types of bending test: 3-point bending test and 4-point bending test. In 3-point bending test, the area of uniform stress is quite small and concentrated under the center loading point. In a 4-point bending test, the area of uniform stress exists between the inner span loading points. When a specimen is bent, it experiences a ranges of stresses across its depth. At the edge of the concave face, the stress will be at its maximum compressive value. at the convex face of the specimen, the stress will be at its minimum tensile value. Most materials fail under tensile stress before they fail under compressive stress. So, maximum tensile stress value can be sustained before the specimen fails to its flexural strength. The flexural strength would be the same as the tensile strength if the material were homogeneous. Therefore, the flexural property of the specimen are the result of the combined effect of all three stresses as well as the geometry of the specimen and rate of load applied. Bend test provide insight into the modulus of elasticity and bending strength of the material. The relationship between loading, shear force and bending moment, slope and deflection. Now consider a beam of AB which is initially horizontal with unloaded. It is deflected to a new position A-B under loading. The slope at any point C is given I is equal to dy dx. This is usually very small in practice, and for small curvature we know that in the figure ds will be dx is equal to r into di. So di by dx is equal to 1 by r, but again I equal to dy by dx, so that we can came into a relationship that d square y and by dx square equal to 1 by r. Now, for the simple bending theory, as we know, m by I is equal to E by R, where m is the moment applied, I is the polar moment of inertia, E is the Young modulus, and R is the radius of curvature. Therefore, 1 by R, as we know, m by EI. So, therefore, m equal to, by replacing I 1 by R value from the earlier equation, that is d square y by dx square is equal to, so m equal to E into I d square y by dx square. This is the basic differential equation for the deflection of beams. So next is slope and deflection of beam. The following relationship exists between loading, shearing force, bending moment, slope and deflection of a beam. Deflection is defined, suppose y or del, slope I or theta is equal to dy dx, bending moment m equal to E into I d square y dx square, shearing force q is equal to E into I d cube y dx cube, loading w equal to EI d to the power 4y and dx to the power 4. From bending moment equation, as we know, m by I is equal to sigma by y equal to f by r, or sigma, that is stress, equal to m by I into y. Now, for the 3-point bending, that is simply supported beam with a concentrated loading. So, in order to obtain a single expression for bending moment, which will be applied across the complete beam in case of its convenient, to make the origin of for x at the center, then we can write mx equal to EI d square y dx square is equal to w by 2 L minus 2 minus x. So thus we can get WL by 4 minus WX by 2. So again EI dy dx. So if we go for, that is derivative, so WL by 4 x minus WX square by 4 plus L. So EIY is equal to WL x square by 8 minus WX x cube by 12 plus AX plus B. So at x is equal to 0, dy dx is equal to 0 as shown. So A is equal to 0 and x is equal to L by 2, y is equal to 0. So thus we get B equal to minus WL cube by 48. So from this equation, that y, the deflection is given, if we put the equation, that will give minus WL cube by 48 EI at center, and dy dx maximum is equal to plus minus WL square by 16 EI at the ends. So procedure of the bending test: measure the breadth and depth of the specimen by vernier caliper. Number 2, adjust cast iron blocks along the bed so that they can symmetrical with respect to the length of the bed. Place the beam on a knife edge on the block so as to project equally beyond each knife edge. See that load is applied at the center of the beam. Set the dial gauge below the center of the beam and note down the reference point from the dial gauge. Measure the effective length of the beam by using scale or steel tape. Place the load frame at exact position on the specimen and note down the corresponding deflection from the dial gauge. Similarly, note down the dial gauge reading by placing different weights on the load frame. Number 8, remove the load gradually and record the dial gauge reading while unloading. So in this figure, the type of cold bend test are shown. So before we discuss the following types, first we need to remember that it is one of the most simple mechanical procedure to evaluating the properties of the material. Bend test result gives some idea about the ductility of the material. This test can be carried out on the same machine on which tension or compression test is carried out, that is universal testing machine, and special attachments are need to be provided for carrying out this type of test. Many existing specifications required a 90 degree, 120 degree or 180 degree bends for a prescribed specimen around a mandrel or hemispherical punch for a given diameter. The size of the mandrel or punch depends upon the thickness of the specimen to be tested. The test specimens are usually rectangular in cross section with rounded edges. The specimen to be tested is of sufficient length and is supported on the roller, which are as specified distance. Load is applied on the mandrel, which is exactly in the center of the two support roller. After the applied on the mandrel, which is exactly at the center of the two supported roller, the specimen bends to the specific degree. It is removed and inspected for the cracks on the outer surfaces. If there are no cracks, the material is acceptable. This is called the cold test. Now, first of all, that close bend test. In this test, a part of the specimen is bent over the remaining part of the exactly 180 degree and flattened. If the specimen does not show any cracks on the outer surface of the bend region, the bend test result is satisfactory and acceptable. This test is commonly carried out for thin strip sample as shown in figure A. Angle bend test. In this test, a former with a standard nose angle and radius is used. The specimen is bent over its former to a definite angle or 180 degree as shown in figure B. Reverse bend test. In this test, the specimen is bent around a former using a standard nose of 90 degree or 180 degree. Then the specimen is made flat and the test is repeated on the opposite side of the specimen. If the specimen do not show cracks on the outer surface after the bend test, the material is acceptable as shown in figure C. So with this, we are likely to conclude this session. These are the references. Thank you for joining this session.